Okay. Hello and welcome to May 16th Committee of the Whole meeting. Please stand and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Cogliandro.
Here.
Here, Councilor Keith.
Here.
Here, Councilor McKenna.
Here.
Here, Councilor Morabito.
Here.
Here, Councilor Novoselsky. Here. Here, Councilor Rizzo is absent. Councilor Rotundo is absent. Councilor Sereno is absent. Councilor Silvestri.
Here.
Here, and Council President Visconti.
Here.
Here, a quorum is present.
Thank you.
One item on tonight's agenda that the City Council will have Tom O'Brien appear before the Committee of the Whole for the purpose of discussing the new Life Sciences building to be constructed at Suffolk Downs.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Before we begin, I'd like to start off by providing you the format of tonight's meeting. Mr. Tom O'Brien is going to come up and speak about the progress of Suffolk Downs, talk about a hot topic, what seems to be a hot topic in the community, the life science building. In addition to that, after he is done, what I will do is I am going to open it up to the public to come up and speak to the podium and ask their questions. With that being said, we have an hour. This meeting ends at 6 o'clock. So I would ask that the public be precise in their questions and that this is solely a Q&A, a question and answer format. This is not a debate, okay? And I want to make that quite clear. So you come up, you ask your question, Mr. O'Brien or a member of his team will answer it. If they don't have the answer now, they will get you the answer, and they will do the best to, give you an understanding of what is to come potentially at Suffolk Downs. So let's begin with Mr. O'Brien to the podium. Thank you. Name and address.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is it this one? Here we go. Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Thomas O'Brien. I'm with the HYM Investment Group. Our address is 1 Beacon Street in Boston, Massachusetts. Okay. I brought some slides. Let me see if this, will that work? There we go. Okay. Great. So I'm going to try and run through these slides fairly quickly to give the council an opportunity to kind of do a review on Suffolk Downs and some of the things that we're planning to move forward on at Suffolk Downs, but also to talk about the topic at hand, the life science building as well. I do, at the outset, want to thank all the members of the council who are here. I know each of you has a very busy life, both in terms of your work as a councilor and your work in your regular day jobs as well. So I really appreciate you being here to listen to us, and I hope that I can answer all the questions that might come forward with all the members of the audience here. And as I said to some of the councilors as well, if an hour tonight isn't enough, I'm happy to come back and do more meetings as well in other forums, whatever people would like. So quick update on Suffolk Downs. So Suffolk Downs, as I think everybody knows, is 161 acres. About 1/3 of Suffolk Downs is located in Revere. About 2/3 is located in East Boston. And we've completed the permitting at all levels for both the East Boston side and the Revere side. The permitting will be for 16.2 million square feet of what we would call dynamic uses. We have 2 MBTA Blue Lines stations, as people know, Beachmont and the Suffolk Downs station. We've also, I'll talk about this, we've also planned to create 40 acres of open space. About 5.2 million square feet of the 16.2 million square feet in total, about 5 million of that will be available for life science or other commercial uses. There's about 450,000 square feet of creative retail or civic spaces, about 800 keys, we call them, or rooms for about 3 hotels. and about 10,000 units of housing across the entire site. So that's both in East Boston as well as in Revere. This gives you a sense of the site itself. It's very large. It's the largest single privately owned site to be permitted for this amount of square footage, this amount of development in the history of Massachusetts. We're really proud to have worked with the members of this council now for 3 or 4 years, I think, to put this on the doorstep of beginning. And we're very excited of all the work that we've done processing this as we move forward. On the life science piece, as I said, this is a business that could attract approximately 5.2 million square feet of uses. It is a business that has exploded. I'll talk more about this in 1 second. Has exploded into the greater Boston community. It's led by cities like Cambridge and Boston, particularly South Boston. It's happening in Somerville. It's happening in Watertown. It's a highly regulated industry, and I'll talk more about that, as I said. The open space system. The open space system, you'll recall, is 40 acres. So 25% of the entire site is dedicated to open space. We want the open space to be truly open and be available for people to be able to come in and make use of the site. It also will play a role in the management of the potential for water infiltration over time in terms of rainwater and potential for ocean water and things like that. These are all topics that many of you will remember that we've talked about for a long, long time. On the residential side, this site, the size of it gives us the opportunity to create 10,000 units of housing, which will do, most of that will be in Boston, but we're really excited to hopefully relieve somewhat the cost of housing by creating a significant number of housing units. Retail and hospitality is what goes into us making this a wonderful place for people to want to be and come and enjoy a restaurant. We want this to be a place, as we've said before, to feel like a lot of other what are called mixed-use developments in the area, from Somerville to Linfield, that have really created wonderful, attractive spaces for people to go, enjoy a meal, walk the streets, and enjoy an evening. This just gives you a quick sense of the permitting. There's been a significant amount of permitting process that's gone into this. Our team has done about 450 different public meetings to get to this point. I'm happy to do more. We enjoy the community engagement process, so we'll do more of that. But as this slide points out, in the city of Boston, we started the permitting process with the filing of what's called a Planned Development Area filing in 2019. We completed that work in the fall of 2020, and so in Boston, we completed that permitting. In Revere, we began in February. We began with the completion of a zoning approval for the overlay district in February of 2018. People will remember that was nearly a unanimous vote of the City Council, which we're very proud of. We've continued through a series of other processes as well, as are on this slide. I'm more than happy, by the way, Mr. President, to make this group of slides available to the public, and we can post them. These are always posted on our website for Suffolk Downs, and we'll post them, and happy to make them available for you to post them on the city's website as well. We also went through an extensive MEPA process, so people will remember that the state permitting process has to do with the environmental prospective impacts that a project may have, having to do a lot of times with water quality, with traffic, with air quality, and things like that. We completed that on January 31st of 2020, and continue to work on all the issues around that in terms of the transportation and the rest of it. Beachmont Square is our first part of the project, so this is our first phase. This will give you a sense, and now you're kind of hovering over Beachmont Station and looking backward into the site. You can see that we've planned a very significant, really exciting development here that will hopefully yield a lot of opportunities for people to both live here and to work here. That first phase will go as follows. You can see on this slide in the lower right-hand corner is 100 Salt Street. So 100 Salt Street is the life science building that we have underway. Amaya is a residential building, approximately 470 units, and then the workshop commercial, which is up above, that building as well as a commercial building. All of those will be surrounded by roads and parks and infrastructure, and then there will be a second phase that will go forward with Portico, another residential building, more commercial buildings, and a hotel that will move forward after that. This just gives you the schedule. So those first three buildings that I just described, which are the subject of a groundbreaking that we have scheduled on the 24th, which we're very excited to have with all of you present. These three buildings that are on the right-hand side, so 100 Salt Street, Amaya, and the workshop building, those will all deliver in 2024. Our view is the way to make this site something different than what it has been, which is an abandoned horse racing track. The way to make it something special is to invest a tremendous amount of capital. So just those buildings, just those three buildings, In total, that's probably around $600 to $700 million of total capital that will go into those buildings. So nearly $750 million just in those first 3 buildings that will come into this city to create those buildings right away, and they'll open in the summer and fall of 2024, which we're excited about. The open space, we'll develop this open space at the same time. So we're not just building the buildings, we want to make this a place with the open space, with the streets, with all the infrastructure. Remember, on this site, there's never been a sewer system. There's never been an electrical system across the site. All those different things that we have to build, we'll build those with this first phase as well. So this just gives you a sense of a park that we'll build in front of 100 Salt Street. That in part goes into the overall water management system. So to the extent that there's flooding, you'll recall, this park goes into the being able to manage that water. When the flooding incident subsides, the water will flow back out. I'm going to do a couple of slides on what the building actually is. So if I can just kind of get to the heart of tonight, the heart of the matter. What we're doing is we're building what's called a base building. So it's this building. This building is the building that we will deliver in 2024. We're building this building on spec. What that means is we don't have a tenant for this building. So as we stand here today, we're building the 4 walls and the roof of this building, but we do not yet know what tenant will be in this building, nor do we know what activities that tenant will bring to the building. Part of what I'm going to try and talk to you tonight is how other cities have regulated this business and what has happened, and for me to make some suggestions to you as to how you might think about this as you go forward. But the regulations, to be clear, are to be focused on the tenants and the people who will do the work here. That's a lot of what we'll work on tonight. This building is not specifically part of those regulations. Those regulations, as I say, have to do with the tenants. The overview of the building is, in total, 100 Salt together with its neighbor will be approximately 525,000 square feet in total. We're going to build the first half of that building right now, 280,000 square feet of that we'll have underway. And there could be potentially biomanufacturing or research and development there. And these are just some statistics on the general characteristics of how large the building is in terms of footprints, building heights, in terms of floor-to-floor heights. All of those things are important to these businesses because they're very heavy on mechanical and equipment and the kinds of work that happens on the interior of these buildings. The project team itself, this is, first of all, I think you all know our background, our company. We're among the larger developers in Greater Boston. We have a significant amount of development underway, and we've also been able to bring on board for this project and all of our projects a very strong team. This is a team of groups that have been involved in this business now for decades, and they've built many of the buildings that have already been completed in Boston and in Cambridge and in Watertown and in Somerville. This is a very well-known and high-end team. So Elkis Manfredi is our architect. Really strong team based in Boston with millions of square feet of experience on this. John Moriarty and Associates, same thing. Millions of square feet of experience on this, all the way through that whole slide. Beals and Thomas, BR+A, all the way down to the engineers at the bottom. Some of these people I've brought here tonight, so to the extent that people want to hear from some of the engineers and other folks, I've brought them here tonight, and if appropriate, I'm happy to introduce them and have them answer some questions for people. Here's the schedule that we're underway right now. So completed to date, we completed the 100 Salt Street zoning amendment in September of 2021. We came back before you on that. We've submitted to the city staff and completed the plan review in January of 2022 of this year. We got the foundation permit in May of 2022, and we've mobilized, and we're undergoing site work right now. So sheeting, all the work that's necessary to go below grade. The next key milestones for us are we have a base building permit submission, which we'll submit this July. Again, that's just for the base building, not for the tenant work that will happen inside of this. We'll do steel erection commencement, which is, you'll see the building coming out of the ground. That will begin in October or in the fall of this year. The base building temporary certificate of occupancy, we're shooting for that in May of 2024. What that basically allows is for us to continue with the build out for the tenant, which will happen through the beginning of 24 into the summer of 24. And so we hope that the first tenant will begin to occupy this building around end of 24, beginning of 25, in that range. And we're talking to tenants now about the potential for that. This just gives you a sense of what the ground floor looks like. These are buildings that are set up with a very wide open spaces on the first few floors, with ample opportunity for them to be serviced as well from the loading docks. And this just gives you a sense of the typical floors. We move up the building on the second level as well. This building will have 2 levels of at grade and below grade parking. So very expensive to create this parking, but it goes into the long-term value of the building itself. And so that's what we'll have. Basically, what I wanted to talk about, though, too, is to talk about this business and how other communities have viewed it. The life science business has evolved. In my career, I've been doing this work for probably 35 years, I think. Hard for me to admit that, but I've been doing this for that long a period of time. It's evolved into a business that is very dominant in Boston, the greater Boston region. We're fortunate in that greater Boston really dominates this business in terms of the global reach of the kinds of work that's gone on, research and production of new solutions for people's lives. In addition, it's not just Cambridge, though. Boston and Cambridge are very, very strong in this. Certainly Kendall Square is very strong, and the South Boston Seaport is very strong. But neighboring communities like Somerville and Watertown, Waltham, now Burlington, all of those communities are really seeking to be strong players in this. And many of those towns have set up regulatory programs for the management of these proposals when they come in. And so I was going to run through with you a little bit some suggestions on what other communities do and how you might see this forward. If I could, though, just add a couple of other specific benefits that are clear for Revere. The first is the foundation permit. As I said before, we've started the foundation. So we paid a permit fee of $336,000 in April of this year. We've made a sewer connection fee payment of $124,000. We made that in April as well. We made the building permit fee, we will make the building permit fee $1.8 million, which will be paid in July. And then the estimated tax revenue for this building, when completed, will be approximately $8 million a year. We think we're a little conservative on that. You've known us. We try very hard not to be too over the top on things, so we think we're a little conservative on that. But $8 million will allow the city, obviously, to bond that at multiple times that to pay for things like the high school and all the rest of it. I don't know this for sure, but I think this building will be the largest taxpayer in the city of Revere, I think. In addition to that, there will be jobs created, about 1,000 jobs during construction. We're working with the mayor's team to make sure that we seek as many jobs as we can in the building trades, the union construction trades, for people from Revere. And we're starting that work now before the base building even goes up later this year. And in addition to that, there'll be approximately 1,500 to about 1,700 permanent jobs in a building like this. And these are really good jobs. The reason other communities have grabbed this business is these are jobs that often do not require a college degree. They pay very well. Oftentimes, people who take these jobs are people who have a certificate but not a college degree. And starting salary on these jobs are often $80,000, $85,000, $90,000 a year. These are good jobs. A little bit, if I could, just on the construction process. So we are, as I said, we're building the base building. So what that means is the core and shell. So for all of you who have been through buildings, if you can think about the building as you walk through without any of the finished work, so any of these walls or any of those sorts of things, but just the concrete floor, the bare bones of what the heating and ventilation system might look like, all of those basic pieces, but without the build out. That's what we're building right now. We're not building a building that will have any specific build out for tenants yet, because we don't have a tenant and we don't yet know what kind of proposed work might happen inside the building. It's a cutting edge design, as I said, and the construction team is a best in class team as we go through all this. So in summary, we're building this base building and we're seeking tenants who will come in and back before you to talk about the work that they'll do. When a tenant is secured, okay, the tenant must then come back in to seek their permit for the build out of the space inside the building. So there's a separate process for that. So if I could suggest, now is not the time yet to review what's going to happen in this building, because we don't yet know what's going to happen in this building. There will be a tenant, hopefully, if we do our jobs right, there will be a tenant, and the tenant will come back before you seeking a building permit. And at that point, that tenant will tell you what they plan to do and how they plan to go forward. Now, other communities, as I've said, other communities have processes for doing that. So this slide is the first of that to kind of walk you through a little bit more of what's happening. And I know there's a lot of information that goes on where people are kind of exchanging things. A lot of it is information that perhaps people are unclear about. So if I could just be clear about a couple of things. The first is the most common levels of lab work that are happening in Greater Boston right now are levels 1 and 2, okay? And levels 1 and 2 are defined pretty carefully. If I could, I'm going to read from a document. Level 1 is a level that is sustainable for work involving well-characterized agents not known to consistently cause disease in healthy humans. Level 2 is similar to BSL-1 and is suitable for work involving agents of moderate potential hazard to personnel and to the environment, okay? So that's mostly what's happening in Greater Boston. This work is highly regulated by federal agencies, state agencies, and oftentimes local city agencies. And we would work with you to help you set up a structure in that regard. There are a few level 3 labs, maybe 20 to 30 that exist around Greater Boston. Maybe by our calculation, maybe 7 to 10 of them are in Boston. Maybe some of them are in Cambridge. Often they're on academic environments or on academic campuses. We are not proposing that right now, nor do we know of a tenant right now that would propose that to you. But what I would suggest is you might want to leave yourself open to that regulatory process to just hear out what people have to say. And again, we'll help you try and establish that. In Cambridge, they've established what's called an institutional biosafety committee. So they have people from the Public Health Commission in Cambridge who sort of help participate in that committee, and they have other outside experts who are residents of Cambridge who participate in that process as well. Boston has an existing Public Health Commission, so they use an offshoot of the Public Health Commission. Watertown, Lexington, Walpole, Bedford, Burlington, other towns, they've implemented similar structures in which they've used members of their professional staff in the Public Health Commission to think these things through. Any lab, so let me just run through what happens in Cambridge, okay? Any lab in Cambridge that is, is proposing using some sort of biologic or any kind of experiment of any kind of DNA, they must begin with the Institutional Biosafety Committee. So they have to start with a filing in that regard. That group, as I said before, that consists of about 5 residents of Cambridge appointed by the city manager, and they work alongside Cambridge Public Health Department staff. And then that applicant, the first thing they must do is they must have an approved principal investigator. So this is a professional who is the person who is the investigator into the work that they do. And that person presents their need for the use of materials, safety protocols, the bios on the people who are involved in this. They must do all that to the science committee. Then there's an on-site inspection that is conducted by that committee, the IBC, to ensure all the labeling and signage, safety processes, safety protocols, safety manuals, safety training, all of those sorts of things. A lot of this regulatory, by the way, regulatory environment has to do with the workers on site, right? You think about it, you have people working in this building, and you want those people first and foremost to be safe. That's kind of like the first line of defense. And so a lot of what this regulatory framework is about is the safety of the interior workers of these buildings. And so that's a lot of what's happening. So if any company after this process, if their permit changes, they have to go back through the process and invite the folks from the committee back in. All companies who operate a vivarium or any kind of an animal-related piece must operate under very extensive regulatory work. The Guide for Care and Use of Animals, I would direct all of you to, which is something that was passed as part of an act in 1985. The Animal Welfare Act, all of those different pieces, those all exist. Those are all heavily regulated pieces. By the way, most of these level 1 and level 2 labs, for the most part, work on mice and rats. That's really the vast majority of them. If they do any animal work, many of them don't, by the way. Many of them do not do any work. But if they do any work, for the most part, the vast majority of them are doing work on mice and rats. Similar to the biosafety permitting process, that whole process around the animals is managed in that fashion as well. Heavy federal oversight, heavy state oversight, and oversight that the city can also create as well. That's the end of my presentation. Mr. President, I really appreciate you giving me time. It's 25 after. I'm happy to stay here and answer questions.
Mr. O'Brien, you did a great job with your time. I appreciate it. What I'd like to do, if the councilors don't object, I'd like to open it up to questions for the public. And rather than asking questions from the city councilors. So if you don't mind, we can respectfully come up to the podium, name and address.
Hi, Ron Clark.
Name and address for the record, and you ask your question, Mr. O'Brien will do his best to answer your question.
Ron Clark, 98 Whitten Ave. My question is the Bio Council. I watched the Lynn Council meeting. They're discussing the same type of life science building. They're also a member of the Mass Bio Council. And have you guys considered joining that? Is Revere part of it? I looked today, Lynn is a member. Revere doesn't show up. Is there any thoughts of joining that? And who would be qualified in our city to actually take on that membership or review these type of rules? You know, like the fire chief, I thought was going to be here tonight. The Board of Health was supposed to be here tonight. Who is going to be responsible in our city that has the knowledge to do these inspections and do these handles? But my biggest question is, do we have any plans to join the Bio Council?
I don't have an answer for that at this time.
I could make a suggestion, Mr. President, which is I would suspect that the members of the Bio Council would be more than prepared to come before you and make a presentation. I would also suggest that, and I'd be happy to help with this, members of the Public Health Commission in Boston, I'm sure would come here and appear and give you some thoughts, or at least participate in a Zoom call or something like that. And I'm sure Cambridge would as well, to give you some thoughts on that. I suspect, you know, in this community, there are a lot of public health professionals and people who would have a lot of background in this. There is, as Councilor McKenna has pointed out, there is an existing Mass General Hospital facility that exists in Revere, and I'm sure there are Revere residents who work in that facility and have some experience working in these labs. I don't know what level that lab is, but my suspicion is there's some lab work that goes on there. Councilor, sorry.
So the Mass General Hospital in Revere has a #1 lab that's been working in existence for the last 25 years.
Any questions?
Mr. President, just point of information.
Yes, Council.
Just so the crowd knows, and Mr. O'Brien, the city is in the process of putting this together currently with Lauren Buck, Health and Human Services, Dr. Kong. They're in the process of putting together a board that will go in and inspect and look oversight and whatnot. Thank you.
Thank you. Name and address.
Laurie Stathopoulos, 125 Essex Street, Salem, Mass. Oh, sure, okay. So, with all due respect, I'm going to hand this over to my attorney that I hired because it's despicable what's going on. How many biolab people are we against? How many?
Hello?
Clap your hands. No, I'm not going to be nice. We're not going to be nice. I'm
hold
calling
on.
my attorney over, and he's going to handle this.
Listen, let me make this quite, no.
Knock it off with this animal abuse.
Enough.
No, you understand that this is. I've had it.
We're gonna have a 5-minute break, 5-minute recess. 5-minute recess. please. Can we have some silence?
Good afternoon.
Okay. Let's end the recess, please.
Good afternoon. Richard Chambers, like Lori said, I represent her.
Okay.
And I was asked to come here this afternoon because there are some serious concerns from the residents of Revere with respect to bringing in a biolab. And Mr. Visconti, do you know exactly the type of research that's going to be done here within the city of Revere? And is everyone aware that they experiment on animals? I'd like to know whether or not there are going to be safeguards in place with respect to the citizens. We just went through a worldwide catastrophe with respect to viruses being released, and I think everyone in this room is concerned that there are people, children, families living within vicinity of this lab that's going to be coming in. And what about federal state guidelines? What about the FDA?
Do you, yes, okay. Do you have certain, do you have a certain, some questions? If you can ask some questions, I'm sure Mr. O'Brien would be happy to answer them.
Well, I'd like to know exactly what the safeguards are going to be in.
Okay.
And who in the city council is going to be qualified, right, to go in there, to give the permits, to inspect, and whether or not there's going to be some kind of federal regulatory board coming in and working with you before.
Mr. President, through
before
you to the
agree.
attorney, please.
Yes, counsel.
Could we get his qualifications in this area, please?
You want my qualifications?
Okay.
Look,
Point of information.
Okay.
Point of
I've been
information.
an attorney for 22 years. I
Great.
practice in
I would
federal
appreciate,
court.
just ask you a question. Mr. O'Brien will come up to the podium and
I'd like
answer
you to answer
your
these
question.
questions,
Thank you.
If you would, sir.
Great.
Especially with respect
Would you,
to
would you ask
federal
your question
safeguards.
again? There was probably some disruptive noise
Yeah.
in the
I
background.
think the biggest concern is having a lab within the city of Revere that's doing experiments on live animals. What type of animals, right? What is the ability to contain the experiment they're doing? Is this going to be contagions that can be released? What's the level of containment? What's the level of protection? What kind of federal inspector or regulatory agency is going to be overseeing this? Those are the questions.
Valid questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. O'Brien?
Thank you very much. Thank you for the question, sir, and I'm happy to meet with you, by the way, too, if you'd like, and happy to go over these issues in whatever form you'd like. Again, as I said to you, what we're talking about tonight is the base building. So we do not yet know what work is going to happen inside this building. We're building the base building, and then there will be.
Hold on, let him speak.
Then there will be.
Let him speak, please.
Ma'am, I just described it. So then there will be an opportunity for there to be a tenant that will come before you, or the regulatory body that the city council sets up together with the mayor.
Okay.
There will be an opportunity for those questions to be answered. We do not know if there will be, what kind of experimentation we'll have here.
Next question. Okay. Name and address for the record. Name and address for the record, please. Please. If you have a question, you have the opportunity to voice your question up at the podium. Please, let's all be respectful. That's all I'm asking, is let's all be respectful. There's somebody at the podium, okay? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Name and address for the record, please.
Julie Mendelson, 39 Arlington Ave.
Thank you.
Where there is no tenant, is there any way that you could put in the lease agreement that there would never, ever be any above level 2 testing allowed?
Okay. Go ahead.
Today, we don't know yet who's going to be there. Our preference is to not.
Okay. So wait a minute. So let me answer that question. Can I answer that question? Okay, thank you. Give me 2 minutes. okay? Right now, there is an ordinance in place that has been in place, okay, with the city of Revere that allows for a level 3, okay, safety, right? Myself and Joanne McKenna, Councilor McKenna, has put in a motion, okay, to amend that ordinance, okay? It just started, okay? So we have to go through that process. It has to get approved through the city council first, and then it has to go through the ordinance change, okay, of the city council in the city of Revere. So we as a council have already noted that. That is what has sparked this, okay? With that being said, we understand the differences, that there is a difference between a level 2 and a level 3 and a level 4, okay? So we have acknowledged that. We're looking at making those changes, but before making those changes, we also want to get the input from the Board of Health, from the qualified individuals, okay? That's what's important, because up here, I'm not sure we're not qualified. We're not in the biomedical world. We're not qualified to make those, to know what's going on. So we're trying to
You're gaslighting right now.
Are we done?
You're gaslighting. We have the competence to judge when something's a
Okay, are we done? I'm speaking. I'm speaking. I'm answering a question. I'm answering a question. Are we? Great. Thank you. You're out of order. Please. Thank you. Are you? Are we? Are you done? Thank you. We're gonna have a. I would like to continue the meeting. Listen to the public. Hello? I would like to continue this meeting as long as we are respectful. If you're not respectful, then we're just going to end the meeting. So it's okay? What's that? Yes, that is policy. That is policy. Okay? So unless we're respectful, okay, we'll just cancel the meeting. Okay, that's not on me. That's, are we? Okay, name and address for the record, please.
Pat Melchior. We want some questions answered. So can you just kick out the ones that are out of control? I appear to be in control. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so listen, I'm gonna just put this. I'm gonna put this out there one more time. If you guys are disrespectful, I'm just gonna have the police escort you out. That's your choice. It makes no difference to me. It's your choice. So if you can't give the people speaking the respect of letting them speak, you're gonna be escorted out. That's it. So, name and address for the record. We'll try this one more time.
99 Derby Road, Michelle Kelly. I want to say I am an attorney, and I'm not qualified in this area. But I don't think any of you guys are either. So my question is, who voted and who okayed the ordinance for the level 3? Were those people that did that qualified?
That is an ordinance that's been in place for the city of Revere for some time.
And
Okay,
when?
well before I've been in office.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't
Fine.
know when it was passed, okay, but it's well before I have been in office.
Does anyone know when it
Okay.
was passed?
To me, it doesn't matter. It's
Well,
already, to me, it
does,
doesn't
though.
matter. It's
It does,
already in
though,
place.
because
So we're trying to
individuals-
amend that.
But,
What-
yes, but individuals made a big decision.
That is in the
And
past.
I want to know if the individuals that made that decision were qualified to make it.
You know what? I can't answer
And
that
that's a
because I was.
valid question.
I'm not saying it wasn't, okay, well, but what I am saying is, I wasn't on the council, there were people over here that weren't on the council, and I'm not gonna speak for
Is
that. So,
anyone here
um,
tonight that was on the council at that time?
I can't speak for them, I don't know, so.
Well,
So with that being said, I don't have the answer for that, and to me, we are looking to amend that as well later on down the line. So if it is in place now, it can easily get amended going through an ordinance change.
Could it be amended to a level 1? I hear a level 2. Could it be amended to level 1?
This is what we're here talking about. That's it. No decisions have been made, but this is what we're talking about. Okay? Thank you.
Hi, my name's Marie Brady. I live not in Revere, I live in Lynn. 123 Winter Market. I want to know why so many labs need to go up in all these cities. There's one in Lynn that's going up, which I totally did not want. There's one in Revere, there's one in Somerville, Cambridge. Why are these labs getting built?
Okay.
Why do we need all these labs in each and every city? That's all.
Mr. O'Brien, you want to answer the question? Sure, I'm happy to take a shot at it. I mean, I think primarily because it's very much been a growing business and a business that, quite frankly, has produced some really great results. Obviously, in the last year or two, I mean, the vaccine that was created to address the worldwide pandemic, all those things are directly resulted from the work that's happened here in Greater Boston. So it's, to us, it's an important business.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is someone else coming up? Yeah, go ahead.
Hit the button.
My name is Diana Plus. How much money is the city of Revere getting for this? Are they getting anything? And are any city councilors or any workers in the city of Revere getting any kickbacks?
Point of
Any
order.
kickbacks?
Well, you know,
Point of
okay,
order.
That's
thank
the
you.
attorney right there. How many people? What, that's not a legitimate question?
No, it is.
Point of order.
That's a legitimate question.
It is a legitimate.
Yeah. Are you getting anything?
I kind of find it offensive, actually.
Council President, absolutely.
You're offended?
Yes.
Apparently the truth hurts.
No.
The truth hurts.
Thank you, thank
Yeah,
you. It's offensive.
That's a legitimate question.
Council
And
President.
you shouldn't be offended if it's not true. Have you ever gotten a kickback? Have you ever gotten a kickback? Has anybody
Next.
on the city council
Council
ever
Keith.
gotten a kickback?
Are we?
That's not even true.
Thank you.
Why are
Thank
you
you.
offended by that?
Thank you.
Right. See, they
Thank you.
already made their choice. They know
Okay.
what they're going to do.
Thank you.
They're just going through the motions with everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Check your bank account.
Thank you. Council President.
Thank you. Council Keith.
Just to answer some of the questions, no, I can speak for myself. I've never received a kickback.
Yeah.
But what the citizens of Revere are getting is, as some of the statements were made, there is a significant amount of tax revenue that will be coming into the city through the project as a whole, not just this one parcel that seems to be resonating through the council tonight, but also just for the citizens of Revere and the citizens of Greater Boston. The city of Revere and the developer signed the largest project labor agreement in the state's history just recently. That's union, that's great union jobs that the citizens of Revere are going to be able to get on that project. So that's more to the citizens of Revere. Just wanted to make sure everyone knew the largest, all the union strong, everyone here that supports the unions, including a lot of the members of the city council, this is the largest project labor agreement in the history of Massachusetts was signed with this project. Thank you.
That's how they start.
Question, name and address.
Already signed for all the union supporters out there.
That is already
or
signed,
non-supporters.
Yes.
Julie Mendelson, 39 Arlington Ave. My
Yes.
question is, how likely is it that you're able to change the policy right now from a level 3 to a level 2? And I also don't know if you know this is true or if it really could be, that my understanding is that it could be a government lab and that whatever policy the city has, it doesn't really matter because they're the government. Is that true? Do you know?
I'll answer the first part of that. The city council has the authority to amend the ordinance, okay? So with that being said, if it gets approved up here, okay, it gets approved for the entire city of Revere as well as the overlay district, because that is how we put in the amendment to the ordinance. I'm going to leave the second part to Mr. O'Brien, if you may.
Sure. Second part is the building is being built with private funds. Obviously, this is a private development, and we anticipate that the tenant that would go in here would also be a private tenant as well, also private funds, not a government tenant.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question, Mr. President?
Absolutely.
Can you ask Mr. O'Brien how many union employees will be on the site probably throughout the procedure?
I think by
Nobody cares? Nobody cares about union jobs? You don't care about union jobs? Shame on you all.
Okay. By the time we start, all right. By the time we hit peak construction, probably be about 2,000 union labor jobs on any given day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We care. We care. The residents of Revere care.
Council Cogliandro, did you have an question?
Thank you, Mr. President. Also not a receiver of kickbacks. Excuse me, I'm speaking. I've waited my turn. Please don't interrupt me.
Okay.
Please don't interrupt me. I haven't spoke at all. I just got here. Excuse me, everybody, excuse me. Thank you. I've been a city councilor for 5 months. I have a dog. I'm not voting for any bio level because I don't want any testing on animals. And you are right. You are right. We do work for you. Okay? I'm not saying that. Listen, hold on. I'm not saying this to get a round of applause, but I want you guys to hear it from me. Excuse me, I'm speaking. I am speaking. I'm not voting for any level of biolab. I don't care what amount of tax money it brings. I don't care. I don't want testing on animals. I don't want terminal illnesses to be tested on. This is right next to a neighborhood. And I'm not gonna sit here and tell you to trust me because none of you know me. But hopefully I can earn that and you guys can believe me. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, name and address. Name and address for the record. Thank you. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
If you could respect me for a few minutes, I'd like to
Absolutely.
speak.
Go right ahead.
Everyone, my name is Mary Ann Zizzo. I live at 21 Foam Ave. I'm a butter of this property. There is no denying that this is a great thing for Revere, and it's going to bring revenue and help us a lot. But Revere as a city is not equipped or have the education and knowledge of biotech. That's why they're in where MIT is, where Harvard is, where they do it in Cambridge and Boston. Either we have to hire someone, a committee that knows what they're doing, and change that amendment right away. Now, I'm assuming that amendment came on the books when Mass General moved into Revere. We want to know as citizens, where is the level 3 lab now? So we need transparency. On our Revere website, we need to know where that level 3 lab is now. How are we going to change it? When you need us here to support you to limit level 1, level 2, level 3 in the city. We're a small community. It shouldn't be here. All respect. Your project is amazing, and I'm looking forward to it because I can walk to it. But we need to protect Revere. We're not Boston. We're not Somerville. We're not Cambridge.
Absolutely. I guess.
But come on. I respect Joanne. You're a proponent for everyone in Beachmont, and I know you'll support us this. These people are here. They want to say their piece, and we want you to listen to us because we know sometimes things get swept under the rug. Not this time.
Yes.
Please listen to the people that are speaking here today, so we don't lose control and we do the right thing for Revere.
Thank you for your input.
This is the future of Revere. This is the future of Revere. A Beachmont student coming up.
I guess let me just answer one question one statement that you made. You said to remove the level 3 lab that's here now. There isn't a lab, to my
Okay, so-
knowledge, we have an ordinance in place that goes up to a level 3.
Great. What does
Okay?
Mass General have?
Mass General is a level 1, okay?
Down the beach?
Yes, okay, that
Okay.
is, because they do, if I'm not mistaken, they do urine, blood tests.
Okay, no animals.
Okay, no.
No, I didn't think so, 'cause I worked there for a little while.
So when you.
So we need to
just-
leave it at that level.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate your input and, you know.
But be transparent with us. Let us
Absolutely.
know. We want to work along with you to make sure the right companies come in that will
Absolutely.
benefit the city, not hurt it.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you. Name and address.
Hi, I'm Gina Castiello, Salamone Castiello from Revere. Just in case you don't know me, Gina Salamone Castiello. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate this, and I think there's a lot of confusion because I really think there's a lot of good people that sit up here in this council. And I think this has been predetermined long before maybe many of you were even born. They're using Revere, Massachusetts as a social laboratory. And I can see my community falling apart at the seams for many reasons. And I think that putting a biolab at Suffolk Downs, not caring about our rights, human rights for animals or human rights, I don't think it's a healthy thing to be in a tight-knit community.
Is there a question for Mr. O'Brien to
I think
answer?
I
or-
love the idea of building up Suffolk Downs.
Okay.
I don't think a biolab, especially a level 3 variant biolab, not even a level 1, because if the government will take it over, as we can see, the government can do whatever they want. I
Thank you.
totally oppose to Agenda 2030 in Revere, Massachusetts.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure that
Name
my
and address,
question made it onto the record.
Excuse me, name and
I
address.
was wondering
name
what
and address for the
insurance you
record.
have in
Name and
place
address for the
to
record.
bring biohazard.
Name and address for the record, please.
I want to know what amount of insurance do you have slated to cover this many residential units being surrounded by biohazards with a shopping center? You said 10,000 residential
Thank you.
units.
Thank you.
I want to know where this guy lives. Why doesn't he
we-
have to tell me where he lives?
We don't take
Get outta here.
anonymous questions. Thank you. Name it.
We don't take anonymous questions.
Yes. I asked for a name and address. Name and address for the record. Next question. Name and address.
Laurie Stratopoulos?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. 125 Essex Street?
Yes.
Salem, Mass. Here's the only question I'm going to say.
Thank you.
Is there a chance that we can amend the ordinance so that we don't have animals or people being tortured, being experimented on, or being getting sick? Is there a chance that we can go in and change this ordinance from 50 years ago?
Thank you. That's a
Thank you.
legitimate question. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Okay, we have not made the changes yet. Okay, we are working with the Board of Health along with other qualified individuals and experts to try to see what's going on. So that, to answer your question. So no decision has been made. Thank you. Name and address.
Michael Sparks, 1 Beach Street, Revere. I am very excited about having something at Suffolk Downs, but I think we could have something different than a biolab. Okay, I've done a lot of research on these biolabs. They have a lot of accidents. A lot of accidents. And, you know, there's nothing protecting our citizens against that. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comment. Name and address.
Hi, I'm Veronica Zizzo, 21 Foam Ave, my mother-in-law. Yeah, sorry, I'm shorter than I thought.
That's okay.
So I first of all applaud you for being up here and doing what you do. I could never do it, and I would never want to do it. I am an esthetician and a cosmetologist working out of Woburn with lots of students. And I'm not sure if any of you are aware, but right now it's pretty cool, human rights and animal rights. And I know that the growing population has great concern and alarm when companies come in and get to doing things that aren't naturally a human right or an animal right. I know protests are coming with this, so I imagine or hope that there's a plan if this does come through, because this is not only going against animal rights, but now you have people who are creating havoc in my own backyard. And these kids are passionate and they're powerful and they're driven. And if we do something that they're not ready or accepting nowadays, I hope we're ready for that I don't want to say backlash, but that strength in numbers to really stand for what they believe in.
Thank you.
Yep. Do we have a plan, or like, do you guys handle situations like that? Any protesting right now at any of your facilities? You have nothing. No protesting at all.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna, we had Mr. Rose, Wayne Rose couldn't attend the meeting, and he asked, he had a question, I think a couple of questions that I would like to ask. Let's see here. Did anyone ask? Okay, what was exactly described in the 40-minute Zoom presentation from Tom O'Brien? Okay. Was the city council all aware of the fact that the dangerous pathogens could be used in this laboratory on any type of animal experimented on? I don't think that there is no confirmation that there will be animal testing just yet. So I don't know, I guess, how to answer that question. Number three, I think there was number three, where are the private funds coming for this project? I guess I'll leave that to Mr. O'Brien.
Sure. Our same investor group that purchased the land in 2017, together with all that same group is funding the project as we go forward. Okay. Gave my address.
I believe he already gave his address. Name and address for the record.
We're with the HYM Investment Group, 1 Beacon Street, down Boston, Massachusetts.
Yes, thank you. Did any city council? I think that's good. Yes, I think everything else has been answered. Thank you. We're going to be ending this pretty soon. So last final couple of questions, and this public committee of the whole will come to an end.
Okay. My name is Catherine. I'm from Boston. I'm not giving my address. I just wanted to ask O'Brien, what is an example of a level 2 pathogen? Can you give us some examples of level 2 pathogens?
I'm not an expert in it, to be honest with you. And I think, again, we're building the base building. We're going to find a tenant that will be the person that will come before you to give you that example. If I could just, again, I don't think I could give you an example of that.
Hi there, my name is, wait a minute.
We don't make, let me just be clear. Can I be clear about one more thing? We're not making it. We're here to talk about the base building. That's it. That's what we're doing. There will be another tenant who will come later and talk about it.
Hi, my name is Lisa Trinfaglia. I live at 205 Highland Ave in Salem, Massachusetts.
Okay.
I'm going to direct my question to this gentleman right behind me. And the question is, when you were mentioning 1 and 2, I specifically heard you say rats and mice. Is that level 2? Isn't that what you said? Did you ever mention rats and mice? Okay, sir, so wait 1 second. Here's my question. This is why we're here. We don't want rats and mice being tested on, sir, because guess what? They are animals.
Thank you.
So this is what animal activists do. This is what we're going to continue to do, and this is what we're going to fight for. And we're not going to stop, because we shouldn't have this in Revere. Wait a minute.
Thank you.
One more thing. And it's also dangerous for humans and our children.
Okay.
This is what it's all about. It's
Thank
danger
you.
all around. Everybody is in danger.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll get you out to the moon. To the moon you go,
It's coming up
lady.
on 6 o'clock.
This side, boo!
Okay.
This side, yes!
One more question. One more question.
Hi.
6 o'clock. Nope.
Hi.
There you go.
My name is Patrick Dooley from Salem, Mass.
Okay.
I just want to point out a couple of things that I think can help. I would just want to point out a couple of things that I think can help answer the previous question. So for a level 2 lab, there are a couple of different agents that are used here. Bacterial agents, there are 58 total, including Salmonella, Staph, and Strep. There are 10 different fungal agents. There are 24 different parasitic agents, 13 rickettsial agents, and 54 viral agents, including 4 different kinds of bovine, Epstein-Barr, hepatitis A, B, C, D, E, influenza, measles, mumps, and polio. Yes, there is a question. So the question is, when we were getting into the use of vaccines and people were experiencing injuries, there was a pool of money set up for people to get compensation from when they experienced injuries. But all that did was limit their ability to get fair compensation. So what I want to know is if there's an accident at this lab in this crowded city of Revere, or Lynn, or Natick, or Beverly, is there any kind of limiting factor like that, a pool of money that's been set aside that basically ends up protecting the labs more than the citizens?
Thank you. Great. That's a great question, and like I said before, we're in the preliminary stages. We're going to be talking with the Board of Health and all the necessary people that are qualified to answer those questions and set up those guidelines, okay, in place where where the citizens of Revere are protected. So thank you for that. That's it. All right, I'm going to give you. We'll have one more question. That's it. This is the final question. It's 6 o'clock. Over 6 o'clock.
My name is Barbara Caulfield.
Thank
I'm
you.
from Lynn, Massachusetts. And my only question is, will the board members all take into account not just the so-called experts, but also the people of Revere that are speaking out against this?
Absolutely.
I hope that gets more weight than the so-called experts' opinions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'd hate to just cut you off since you're the last question. How's that? I can't do that to you. How's that? All right.
Stacy from Reservoir Avenue.
Okay, and you're a Revere resident.
Yes,
Go
I'm
ahead.
a Revere resident. I am concerned
Yes.
with having any lab in Revere, and I'd like to know, why do we have a lab in Lynn, a lab in, why? Why do we need a lab here when we're 5 minutes over the bridge to Boston, we're 5 minutes over the bridge to Cambridge. There is no need for a lab here. So can you answer me why it's going to be here?
I think it has been proposed to the city council. When that proposal came about, I believe it got switched from apartments to a laboratory research and development. Correct me if I'm wrong.
But I'm saying, like, I hear you, but you have to understand, we don't need any more apartments besides when we don't need a lab. So why don't you do something constructive with that? Make a park that we could go to. You know, it's something that's not going to be a hazard to Revere citizens when I've lived in Revere for 25 years, over 30. So, or 30.
Thank you.
You know, so I don't understand why it's here.
Thank you. Mr. O'Brien, would you like to add some input?
I think the only thing I could add is there's a huge amount of demand in this business, and that's why it's happening in Somerville, and Watertown, and Burlington, and Bedford, and Lynn. It's a big demand. So
Thank you. With that being said, this meeting is adjourned.